Have you ever had a moment when everything suddenly felt familiar? You're at a restaurant you've never been to before. Someone says something totally normal. Nothing special happens. But for a few seconds, your brain insists, this has happened before exactly the same, 100%. Welcome to Déjà Vu, one of the strangest experiences in human memory. Nearly 2/3 of the world population has experienced this little brain glitch. But there's one very interesting discovery. People don't seem to experience déjà vu until they are at least around 8 or 9 years old. It happens most often during the teenage years and in the 20s, then slowly becomes less common as we get older. That detail is an important clue, because it suggests that déjà vu is very likely connected to how the brain develops. So what exactly is déjà vu? What does the brain do to turn a completely new moment into something that feels like a memory? Today, Apex will help you decode the psychology behind that strange moment. I've been here before. Before modern brain scanning devices existed, déjà vu was basically an exclusive playground for psychics, mediums, and people who believed in reincarnation. In the late 19th century, the French philosopher and psychologist Émile Boirac was the first person to use the term déjà vu, a French phrase that means already seen. But for a very long time, even though we had a name for it, people were still almost completely in the dark about what was actually happening in the brain when this strange feeling appeared. The problem is this: déjà vu is a nightmare for experimental science. If you want to study sleep, you can attach electrodes to a volunteer's head and wait for them to fall asleep, just like Eugene Aserinsky once did in his studies on REM sleep. If you want to study heart rate, you can ask participants to go for a run. But how do you study a phenomenon that shows up randomly, passes by very quickly, gives no warning, and has almost no clear physical signs from the outside? No fever, no cough, no shaking. You can't lock a college student inside an MRI machine and say, just sit there until you feel déjà vu, okay? That slippery nature is exactly why déjà vu was once covered by more than 40 different theories. Some people believed it was a memory from a past life echoing back. Some thought it was a dream that had already happened, suddenly matching the present. Others imagined that your soul left your body while you slept, traveled into the future to peek at the scene. And when your body finally stepped into it, your mind suddenly went, I've seen this before. But modern science began approaching déjà vu from a different angle. Instead of asking, did we live through this moment before in another life? Researchers asked a more practical question. What inside the memory system could create a feeling of familiarity, even when there is no real memory attached to it? And that question opened up an important path. When déjà vu appears, the brain is not being haunted. It is simply running into tiny technical glitches during its normal operation. From this approach, scientists gradually narrowed déjà vu down to 3 of the most likely explanations. The first major scientific hypothesis used to explain this phenomenon is called dual processing theory. This is the most basic idea. Déjà vu is the result of a timing mismatch in the brain as it processes reality. Normally, the brain works like a professional TV production crew. When you experience an event, for example, seeing a spoon fall in a cafe, the brain performs 2 tasks at the same time on 2 separate channels. 1. Cognitive processing. What am I seeing? 2. Memory and storage. Have I seen this before? Usually these 2 answers are very clear. The brain recognizes, this is a new cafe. This moment is happening right now, so you don't feel anything strange. But according to dual processing theory, déjà vu may happen when these 2 steps fall out of sync for one extremely brief moment. Because of some temporary physiological reason, fatigue, stress, or neural interference, the signal pathway to the memory storage area may run a few milliseconds faster than the pathway to present moment awareness. As a result, the information about the falling spoon goes straight into storage and gets labeled by the brain as the past before you have time to consciously recognize it in the present. Just a split second later, when the awareness area officially registers the image, the brain instinctively checks it against memory storage. Since the data is already sitting there, it concludes, this scene is old. I've experienced it before. You get tricked by the tiny delay in your own nervous system. However, dual processing theory still does not fully convince many people. It has 2 big gaps. Lack of selectivity. It cannot explain why déjà vu is often triggered when we face completely new settings. If it were only a signal timing error, this phenomenon should happen randomly and all the time. But your brain doesn't glitch while you're eating at home. So why does it often glitch when you walk into some totally unfamiliar restaurant in a new city? The second gap is ignoring the content. This theory only explains the feeling of familiarity. It does not explain why the brain can make up an entire surrounding context to match that feeling. In other words, dual processing theory is like accidentally clicking save twice on the same file, but it does not explain why you suddenly see a whole bunch of details that never existed in your storage folder in the first place. This is where the second hypothesis comes into the light: hologram theory. This name comes from the idea that the human brain does not store memories as one complete block. Instead, it breaks them down into separate features, like color, sound, or smell. When the brain pulls up a memory, it works through a process called associative memory. This means you do not need to see the entire old scene again. Just one small detail can be enough to trigger the whole feeling of that memory. Imagine you walk into an unfamiliar restaurant in Paris. Overall, you have never been there before. But suddenly, a powerful feeling of familiarity hits you. The real cause is hidden in one tiny detail that your conscious mind does not notice. The checkered tablecloth in the restaurant has the exact same color, pattern, and texture as the one on your grandmother's dining table from 15 years ago. The moment your eyes pass over that detail, the hippocampus immediately recognizes the match and activates a state of familiarity. However, a glitch happens during the data retrieval process. The brain sends out the familiarity signal very quickly, but fails to search for and name the original context, your grandmother's house. As a result, you fall into a kind of floating state of awareness. You have a feeling of familiarity that feels completely real, but you have no facts to explain it. Since the brain cannot find the reason, it instinctively takes the familiar feeling from grandma's tablecloth and applies it to the whole restaurant in Paris in front of you. You mistakenly believe you have been to this place before, but in reality, your brain is just trying to patch together a broken piece of memory that has lost its context. And if the first two hypotheses still don't fully satisfy you, here comes the third one. The one I find the most realistic and common in the digital age: divided attention theory. We always overestimate how much control we have over our own awareness. You think you only register the things you are directly focused on? That is a mistake. You walk into a grand hotel lobby to wait for a business partner. The moment you step through the door, your phone vibrates with an urgent work message. Your stress mode switches on. You lower your head toward the screen and start typing away, trying to explain the situation. All of your conscious awareness is focused 100% on that 6-inch screen. You are completely distracted. But in that very moment, your brain is still working hard behind the scenes. Like a security camera running in the background, your peripheral vision has quietly scanned the entire hotel lobby. The crystal chandelier, the soft jazz music, the receptionist in a red blouse. All of that data is silently sent straight into implicit memory without your conscious mind knowing a thing. 2 minutes later, you put your phone in your pocket and look up. This is the first time you truly see the hotel lobby with conscious awareness. And immediately, a powerful wave of déjà vu hits you. You get chills and wonder why this scene feels so familiar. The answer is very simple. You literally just saw it. Your brain recorded and saved this scene to the hard drive exactly 120 seconds ago. It's just that at the time, your conscious mind was out of office. The mismatch between the moment your unconscious mind recorded the information and the moment your conscious mind became aware of it created one of the brain's most classic tricks. So among those three hypotheses, which one is right? To answer that, we have to go to the lab of Dr. Ann Cleary, a leading cognitive psychologist at Colorado State University. She did something that once seemed impossible. She actively recreated déjà vu in a controlled environment. Dr. Cleary came up with a brilliant idea when she noticed the similarity between déjà vu and another common psychological phenomenon called tip of the tongue. You know that feeling, right? When you see an actor on TV, you are sure you know his name. It is right on the tip of your tongue, but no matter how hard you try, you just can't get it out. Déjà vu works the same way. You are sure you know this place, but you cannot point to the original context. She believed that the core factor behind déjà vu was spatial familiarity. In 2012, Cleary created an experiment using advanced virtual reality technology. She designed dozens of different 3D scenes on a computer. Some scenes looked completely different on the outside, but actually shared the same core geometric layout. She had volunteers put on VR headsets and walk around a scene of an aquarium. There were hallways, slanted pillars, and a dividing wall in the middle. A few days later, she called them back. This time, she placed them inside a brand new scene, a reception area in an office building. The tables, chairs, colors, and lighting were completely different. But the spatial layout, the positions of the columns, the turns, and the distances between the walls, was copied exactly from the aquarium. The result was shocking. When the volunteers entered the reception area, even though they did not remember anything about the aquarium, they immediately reported déjà vu at an extremely high rate. Their brains recognized the familiar geometric structure subconsciously, but failed to name the aquarium, creating an empty feeling of familiarity. There was even a sharper twist. When Cleary placed some volunteers back into the exact same old scene they had completely forgotten, and they insisted it was a totally new place, the rate of déjà vu exploded the most. This led to a strong scientific conclusion. Sometimes we experience déjà vu simply because we really have gone through that event before. It is just that the brain accidentally threw it into the trash can of forgetting. And in a darker corner of medicine, déjà vu is not just a fun, passing experience. If you experience it once in a while, or sometimes have a muscle jerk right before falling asleep, known as a hypnagogic jerk, you are completely normal. But for people who experience déjà vu constantly, many times a day, science calls this chronic déjà vu. When doctors scan the brains of these patients, they find a frightening common pattern. Most of them have damage, a tumor, or epilepsy in the temporal lobe, the brain's center for managing long-term memory. Seizures create abnormal electrical activity, constantly triggering the hippocampus to send out the signal of familiarity, even when the patient is doing something completely new. For them, the movie theater inside the mind is permanently stuck on the replay button. Déjà vu turns from a fascinating illusion into an illness that tortures the mind. However, the virtual reality lab studies only explain half of the puzzle. In reality, there is another feature of déjà vu that is far more confusing: the feeling of knowing the future. Many people insist that when this little brain lag hits, they do not just find the scene familiar. They also know exactly what is about to happen next. Try putting yourself in a classic situation. You step into the business class cabin of a long-haul flight for the first time. As the plane takes off, déjà vu surrounds you. The layout of the seats, the lighting inside the cabin, everything forms one huge block of familiarity. And then, an extremely strong gut feeling rises up. You are certain that a flight attendant is about to walk out of the cockpit, and you know exactly what she is going to say. The feeling is so real that it gives people chills. But can we really predict the future? Dr. Cleary decided to test this by upgrading the VR experiment. She designed virtual hallways with similar geometric layouts. While the volunteers were moving through a familiar scene, for example, an aquarium area, the video would suddenly switch to a completely new scene, for example, a reception area but with a matching layout of turns. The video would automatically stop right before a turn with the same structure. She asked them to report. If they were feeling déjà vu, did they have a strong gut feeling about whether they should turn left or right next? And then they had to make a prediction. The real results exposed the mechanism behind it. Emotionally and psychologically, people in a déjà vu state gave extremely high scores for the belief, I know 100% what the next turn is. They had a rock-solid psychological belief in their own ability to predict. But when compared with reality, their accuracy was only about 50%. Exactly the same as closing your eyes and flipping a random coin. They had no ability to predict the future at all. Science calls this phenomenon the déjà vu illusion. At its core, the feeling of familiarity is connected to the past, and the past always brings a sense of certainty. When the memory system glitches and sends out the signal, this has already happened, the brain automatically makes an assumption. If it happened in the past, then I must know what happens next. The brain has tricked itself. It pumps you full of an extremely convincing feeling of knowing in advance. But in reality, your hands are completely empty of data. You think you are a prophet, but you are actually just the victim of a mistimed processing slip in your neurons. So in the end, what is déjà vu? Is it a timing mismatch between sensory pathways? Is it a memory that has lost its context? Or is it an illusion caused by distraction? Modern science says it is probably a blend of all of them. Evolution has turned tiny technical errors lasting less than a millisecond during the brain's data processing into a mysterious and fascinating psychological experience. Humans have always been proud of our intelligence. We can build supercomputers that process billions of pieces of data every second. But sometimes the 1.4 kilogram biological machine sitting inside our skull decides to prank its owner with one very stylish lag. Computer scientist Alan Kay once said, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." Do not let the illusion of a pre-written script, the very illusion déjà vu gives you, fool you. Your future is not programmed in advance, and you are not replaying a script from a past life. Your future is shaped by your clear awareness and your active choices right now while you are fully awake. The next time you suddenly freeze in the middle of a crowd because a wave of déjà vu surrounds you, enjoy it. Stop for 1 second and smile as you ask yourself, am I distracted? Is there some broken piece of memory around me calling my name? Or did my nervous system simply have a tiny timing slip? If these glitched movie clips make you realize how amazing your brain really is, hit the subscribe button for Apex now so you do not miss the next journeys into the mind. And do not forget to flex the strangest and most brain-twisting déjà vu moment you have ever experienced in the comments below. I seriously want to read them. There is still a whole ocean of hidden psychological knowledge you have not discovered yet. Click the video on the screen right now to continue the journey of becoming sharper and smarter with us. I'm Apex. Goodbye, and see you next time.